Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about a critical Bitcoin bull market signal that has flashed, and it's been flashing for the last 6 months or so. This is not exactly something new, but it's something that I have not brought to your attention in detail. And I want to bring it to your attention because I believe it's one of the many reasons why we are going to be entering into a bull market this year. To start out the stream, we're going to be talking about all of the reasons that I have a theory that we're going to be spending the next 12 to 18 months gearing up for and then entering into a bull market. In the second part of our stream, we'll talk a little bit about that specific signal. It will be the final one I mentioned in the first segment. And then from there, we're going to speak on current events. I will get into that in a moment. And by the way, just so you guys know, we will be talking about the geopolitical situation in the Middle East right now. If that's not something you want to watch, I totally understand. But I do believe that it has bearing not only on your life, but also on the cryptocurrency market as a whole. I'm going to explain the scenario over there a little bit. I made a video on that, and I wasn't able to upload it because I got interrupted in the middle, and it ended up being outdated by the time I could finish it. So I'm going to talk on it briefly, but we're going to focus today on the charts. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. CBD Suddy is in chat, said, "Hello, Jeb." "Hello, Governor. How are you?" Thomas Post is in chat, said, "Morning, Coffee." That's right. Joe Bollier is in chat, said, "Good morning, Jeb." RJ said, "Smash the likes." Thank you. Philly Skills 1428 in chat said, "Morning, my guy, Jeb and Crypto Fam." Mickey 122971 said, "Morning, Jeb and Fam." Herman Barbara is in chat. Being BTC Crypto Alerts, XRP Ally, Chris Mo, JS, ER Berg, Crypto Mini Bike, and Steve Hahn. What's up, Jebediah? It's funny, whenever I tell someone my name, it's relatively common that someone will ask me if my name is Jebediah. It's actually not. It comes from a combination of my first and my middle name. It is spelled Jebb for that reason. CBD Suddy said, "Tickle the like button." Make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, guys, or tickle it or whatever. Just go ahead and touch it. Just go ahead and touch that like button. Let the like button light up because it's so excited to have 100 likes. Let's see if we can get to 100 likes. All right, good deal. Let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap. We got a lot to talk about. Jeff from Yo-Yo is in chat. Jeff, just the way that that read, it looks like you were from Yo-Yo. So you can go ahead and tell me where that is. Anyway, Bitcoin right now is doing pretty well. It's currently trading at 28,356. That is exciting because if you guys will remember, there is a critically important level of resistance on Bitcoin around $28,500. We're going to talk about that level here in a little bit again, but I do just want to mention it briefly. And that level at 28,545, I've been calling it, or even 28,572, has been very important. It was a level that we dropped to here on August the 1st when we were initially going through this bear market. It is also a level, 28,545, 28,572, whatever, somewhere in that region, give or take a couple dozen dollars. We're dealing with thousands of dollars in price appreciation. That level around 28.5 is an important level, and it has been an important level for over 2.5 years now, or for over 2 years, going on 2.5 years now. And it is a level that we are contending with right now that we'll talk about a little bit more later. Apologies, I had the wrong framing up. Now, Ethereum is trading at $1,577. It is up ever so slightly over the last 24 hours. As opposed to Bitcoin, which Bitcoin has taken a slight correction. But Bitcoin has also gone through a rally this week. We, of course, saw the fake Cointelegraph news on Monday that BlackRock had approved a Bitcoin spot ETF. That, of course, turned out to not be true, and that ended up being one of the biggest fails in the history of journalism in cryptocurrency. I hate to put it that bluntly, but it's true. But Bitcoin still managed to rally off of it. Bitcoin managed to rally 5% off of fake news. You can only wonder what we would expect to happen off of the real news. Remember, it took about 8 minutes from that tweet being posted by Cointelegraph for Bitcoin to rally $2,000. And in those 8 minutes, everybody realized, oh, wait a minute, that's false. And Bitcoin crashed right back to where it started. So in 8 minutes, we rallied $2,000. And then after the 8 minutes, it became known that it was fake news. You can only imagine how far Bitcoin would have rallied if it was not fake news. And it was true. 2K in 8 minutes. What would happen in the first hour? 3K? 4K? What would happen in the first 7 days? 8K? $10,000 worth of rally? We shall see. I've seen some predictions recently that we will likely see upwards of $1 trillion flowing into Bitcoin within 2 to 3 years of the Bitcoin spot ETF being approved. And I do believe that that is very realistic. Bitcoin has been worth multi-trillions of dollars before, and I do believe that it will return there again. Excuse me, it's been worth over $1 trillion before, and I do believe that it will return there again. Now, a couple of the different cryptocurrencies to look at here. Solana sitting at number 8, Cardano sitting at Solana sitting at number 7, Cardano sitting at number 8. XRP is down slightly. It's sitting at 49 cents. Of course, it's kind of thrown off the shackles of the SEC lawsuit, and then Binance has been put under the guise of an SEC lawsuit. So it is not surprising at all to see that XRP is performing relatively well. Binance is having a slightly difficult time over the last several months. I would not be surprised to see XRP jump back up into the number 3 spot, which is what it has historically held at some point in the future. If not number 3, because Tether is such a massive stablecoin now, maybe number 4. And then if you exclude the stablecoins, it would be in the number 3 spot. I want to look at market dominance for one brief second. And the reason is because a very important trend is continuing. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance, we have seen Bitcoin dominance continue to move up. I'm going to see if I can turn this off. I don't think they'll let you change this. This is one thing I'm not the biggest fan of, the way that they changed this. I really like the way that CoinMarketCap used to have this. So Binance, which Binance owns CoinMarketCap, Binance, please change this back to the way it was, because this chart is much more difficult to interact with. It's much more difficult to read as well. Anyway, we'll do what we can here, or we can just use a different site. Bitcoin market dominance is what fills in the rest of this chart, and it does show up in the blue. So the part of the reason I don't like this is because to see what the Bitcoin market dominance is, you almost have to cock your head and turn it upside down, because the graph is actually upside down. As the graph goes lower, it's actually getting higher because everything else fills in the gap, if that makes sense. So Bitcoin market dominance back here in just a year ago, right after the collapse of FTX, was sitting at 40%, 38%, not even 40%, 38%. It had rallied up to about 48% over the last several months. And then recently, it rallied all the way up to 50%, and now it's sitting at 51%. The point here being that Bitcoin is still gaining market dominance. That is typical of a buildup to a bull market. Let me give you an analogy. When a tsunami is coming in, it sucks all the water out, and if you were able to freeze time there and you had enough time to do this, now normally you wouldn't, or you'd get slammed by a wall of water. If you were able to freeze time and you had the time to do it, you could walk a couple of miles out to sea on dry seabed, because it sucks all the water out into itself, and then it all comes back all at once and inundates the coast. It's a little bit how a bull market works. Bitcoin is the tsunami that starts every bull market, and it sucks the water, the altcoin value, out of the shallows, that being the smaller cap altcoins, pulls the value into itself, and then Bitcoin, like a freight train, inundates the coast. And then all of a sudden, the coast, being the mainstream, it's like, whoa, Bitcoin's everywhere. Where did this thing come from? Well, it sucked all the life out of the altcoins, and then it inundated the mainstream. And that's what we're doing right now. We are entering into this buildup that will lead us into that tsunami of Bitcoin enthusiasm moving into 2024 and 2025. We are seeing the degradation of market dominance on the altcoins. We are seeing a accumulation of market dominance on Bitcoin, and that normally only means one thing. It normally indicates that we are going to see a major rally on Bitcoin, and then the altcoins will follow in their time, in the altcoin season, at some point in the next 12 to 18 months. And again, that is the theme that I want to explore in today's video, the reasons why I believe that a major bull market is coming in the next 12 to 18 months, and why I believe that a critical bull market signal is sitting right under our noses. All right. Jeb, false Bitcoin ETF news only went up 1K, not 100K. Oh, are you sad that it didn't go up 100K? Yeah, I mean, you can't expect that Bitcoin's going to rally $100,000 in 8 minutes. There are quite a few misconceptions in the cryptocurrency space about how impactful a Bitcoin ETF is going to be, and it will be impactful, but it's not the be-all, end-all. It is one of the most important bullish adoption events that we will ever witness, but it is not the only thing. There has to be a general public perception that Bitcoin is a valuable investment, that Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is a valuable investment, and that it is a place that we should put money. JS said, like last time, absolutely. During the last bull market cycle, we saw a sucking out of the value of the altcoins into Bitcoin. Bitcoin went on a bull market in 2020 in correspondence with the pandemic, the shutdowns, and the massive amount of quantitative easing and liquidity injection into the global economy, especially into the United States market, where much of the investment in Bitcoin is occurring. And Bitcoin went through a massive bull market, and the altcoins benefited from that as a byproduct. If you want your altcoin to go up, it typically is going to do the best job of going up as a byproduct of a rally on Bitcoin. Mike Lowry's in chat. Good to see you, my friend. By the way, want to give a big shout out to our Discord server. If you guys did not know, we have a Discord server, and this Discord server has actually been around since the channel was only about 6 months old. We've had this Discord server for almost 6 years. This spring, it will be turning... I cannot believe I'm saying this. I can't believe I'm saying this. Am I right on this? Do I have my numbers right? Yes, I do, right? 2018, and then 2024. Yeah, it will be turning 6 years old this, I think it's February, maybe March. I need to look. I need to figure out what the birthday of the Discord server is. I've got so many things I want to do with this. I am stretched so thin right now trying to do all the projects that I'm trying to do. So I haven't had a lot of time to work on it, but I really do want to. And it is my dream to be able to have this Discord server just absolutely going crazy. If you guys don't know, I am working on something, and I'm not going to tell you too much what it is. I'll let you go and join the Discord server because you're going to get a... somewhat of a special announcement over in the announcements channel on the Discord server. But I asked a question in the Discord server that if you go and join the Discord server with the link in the description box down below, you can answer this question and help me to work on something. The question is as follows. What are the top 5 things you believe a noob should know within the first 30 days of being in crypto? Join the Discord server and answer that question, and you will be helping me to create something that I think you guys are going to really love. Worked on it a lot yesterday. Excited to get it out. All right. Cool. Let's continue. Read chat for just a second, and then we'll jump into it. Leroy N49 said, good afternoon from Ireland. Good to see you. Schmedley B in chat said, got here late, was doing yard work. Fair enough. Jeff from South Dakota. There you that's funny. So you actually did do that intentionally. I see. You made your name that on purpose. Objective, real, reality, objectively. Objectively, reality, real, objectively. You need to be a real estate agent with that name. All right. Did you hear about the bridge being built between ADA and IOTA? I shall look into that. Let me pull up a... I will... Okay. Cool. I pulled up a... another tab with that on it so that I can remember that. All right, let's go and jump onto the chart, though, guys. We've kind of got our introduction over. I'm going to paint a picture for you about why I believe that we are going to go into a major bull market. We'll start with the technicals because why not? And then we will jump into some of the geopolitical realities that I think are going to color the next several months on Bitcoin. In March, I made a video that just absolutely blew up. It got about 50,000 views, and that's a lot for the bull market, for the bear market. And I will show you really quickly here that video if you have not seen it already. That video is, goodness gracious, there's so many videos on the channel. You know, there's over 2,500 videos on the channel. In this video right here, this guy's getting some free advertising. A clock will send Bitcoin to $50,000. This video, again, 50,000 views. And in this video, we'll just have to listen to this fella tell us about, if you want to know how to consistently make 100 to 1,000% while trading, there you go, whatever that guy's name is. In this video, I built this chart. And that chart might be familiar because it's right here. This is that chart that you saw in that video. And in this chart, I predicted that at year's end, Bitcoin will be trading between $35,000 and $50,000. Some people got on to me. They said, Jeb, that's too conservative. Bitcoin's going to be at 100K by the end of the year. And I said, nonsense. Nonsense. I have gotten so many views on YouTube by shutting down this nonsense of Bitcoin going to 100K by the end of XYZ, the third year. It's going to take longer than you think it is to go to $100,000. A couple of reasons for that. Number one, $100,000 is almost $3.75 trillion in market cap on Bitcoin, almost $4 trillion in market cap on Bitcoin. Number two, Bitcoin's not in the bull market yet. Number 3, the reason that we went to 69K last year instead of like 50K the year before is because we had a huge amount of liquidity entering into the market through the purchasing of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, otherwise known as quantitative easing by the Fed. A massive amount of money was dumped into the cryptocurrency market as a result of government stimulus. Bitcoin would never have rallied that far if it were not for that stimulus. I'm not saying Bitcoin can't go to $69,000 one day. It will. But when you make the dollar so much less valuable, it makes it easier for Bitcoin to go so much higher. Much of that surplus liquidity is being pulled out of the market right now, bringing back down, or I suppose you could say bringing back up the value of Bitcoin, bringing back down the total supply of Bitcoin, of the United States dollar, bringing back up the value of the dollar slightly, bringing back down the circulating supply, if you will, of the dollar. So Bitcoin's going to have a harder time getting to 100K because we're not in those market conditions. We're not in the condition where you're seeing literally $5 trillion of money poofing out of thin air right into the market that can be invested anywhere. That's not the current state of things. So $35,000 to $50,000 is my prediction for year's end. It has been there since March. I do believe that we will be tickling 35K by the end of the year. I certainly hope so. I could end up being wrong on that. And I told you in March that it's very possible that we have to kick off that prediction until March of next year. If you go back and watch that video, I believe I said that in that video. I definitely said that on some streams around the time. Now, how are we going to go into the bull market and how do we pass through the 35 to 50K region? A couple of things need to occur. First and foremost, Bitcoin needs to get through that level that we were just talking about at 28,572, 28,545, whatever level you want to call it, is 28,500 to 28,600. Bitcoin needs to break through that. And the good news is Bitcoin did break through that recently, but the problem is it was on fake news. However, the still good news is that Bitcoin does still have some bullishness that it is able to contend with. There is still an uptrend here. There's still an uptrend here that is in play. Lux Algo is bullish on the 4-hourly chart, has been for some time. Now, we did hit the take profit. Keep that in mind. We may need to go through a correction here before we're able to go any higher. On the daily chart, we do have a buy signal on Lux Algo. If you remember, we've got only a few confirmed buy signals on Bitcoin so far this year that were of any import. There's this one right here. We weed this one out for other reasons. I've talked about that plenty of times. These other 4 buy signals on Lux Algo all led to gains, at least to the order of 10% or more. We see a buy signal coming into play right here. It has already given us a 8.3% rally if you exclude that, that scam wick from the Cointelegraph fake news. Bitcoin is in great position right now for bullishness. We've got a bullish MACD cross that's taken place on the daily chart above the 0 line. The last time that we saw a bullish MACD cross above the 0 line was here, and that was right before the last leg up to $31,000. Before that, it was right here, and that was before our last leg up to 25K. Leads me to believe that we've got at least one more leg to the upside that could potentially drive us above $30,000. If that occurs, then that just extends this massive trading channel that we're in right here sideways, and then that massive trading channel will eventually break bullish, more than likely, because trading channels typically break out in the same direction that they started. If you go into a trading channel moving up, then you're likely to move out of the trading channel moving up. So again, I expect $35,000 to $50,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. That has been my prediction since March. It is very possible that that prediction needs to wait a couple of months, but I don't think it would need to wait long. There is obviously pent-up enthusiasm in the cryptocurrency space, and you have got to bet yourself that if anybody is invested in the traditional markets and they hear Larry Fink put crypto, and again, because he's not legally allowed to say Bitcoin, he probably just meant Bitcoin. If you've got Larry Fink putting Bitcoin in the same category as gold and treasuries, whew, man, that is a glowing review of Bitcoin by one of the most senior, most powerful men in finance, arguably the single most powerful man in finance. I made a video on this yesterday. If you haven't watched it, it's still totally relevant, not outdated, and it will be relevant for weeks to come. I titled it "Billionaire to Soar Bitcoin at $2,000 Today?" ? So we were expecting that it very well may be. We've got another ad here. It was very possible that we were going to see the Bitcoin market rally on that news. Didn't happen, but that's okay. It will eventually end up going through a major rally as a result of what he said and as a result of many other things. But what Larry Fink said was absolutely pivotal in the sentiment in the cryptocurrency space. So with all that said, I want to mention the thing that we titled the video around, the stream around. Bitcoin has finally flashed a critical bull market signal, and I'm going to go ahead and share with you what that bull market signal is. But first, we're going to read some chat. Okay. Slightly Crypto said, cheaper the better. The tech is strong. That is right. Queen is in chat, said, hashtag FinSov and Santa Claus rally. Maybe. It's very possible we see a Santa Claus rally. If you guys are enjoying today's stream, I want you to do a couple of things for me. First and foremost, hit that like button. It helps to support the channel. If you think we are creating content here that's valuable to you and you believe will be valuable to someone else, then hitting that like button is the best way that I can share with you to help to support the channel. And also, if you leave the stream running and help it generate watch hours, that helps too, because that shows YouTube that people are interested in the stream. So even if you're not listening, if you turn the stream on, you let it run in the background, or if you just let it run while you're doing something, you tune in every once in a while and listen to what I'm saying, that helps to support the channel also. I'm really excited because I'm working very hard to put out a stream, a video, and a short every single day right now. It's been a long time since I had that schedule. The last time I had that schedule, I had a team of 16 people helping me do that. I am one guy right now with one employee, and I've got my wife helping me a little bit, and I am doing my best to put out as much content as I can because I love you guys, and it just, gosh, I could just sit here all day so excited about sharing content with you guys and getting to work with you guys here in crypto. So if that's a journey that you're interested in joining, join me on that journey. We've been on that journey together for nearly 6 years. A month from 2 days ago, the channel will be turning 6 years old, and I really appreciate all of your continued support. Sovereign Stacker said, no World War III. We're going to be talking about World War III relatively soon. Also, make sure to hit that like button if you have not already. And, by the way, final shameless self-promotion, and it is shameless because I think it's awesome. Sign up for Lux Algo. You just saw me using it. It did call this rally. Every time Bitcoin has a rally, it's normally predicted by a buy signal on Lux Algo that is confirmed. So make sure to sign up for Lux Algo if you haven't already. Cool. Let's go ahead and move now into the Bitcoin signal that is flashed. It's calling a bull market. Let's do it. It's exciting. Cool. That signal is very simple. It's nothing fancy. Look, guys, most technical analysis is not fancy. Listen, we were reading the Bible together last night, my wife and I, and it's so easy when you read through it quickly to be like, what did that say? I did not understand that at all. All you have to do is slow down, and then you realize, oh, what this is saying is actually pretty simple. You just need to slow down. You just need to realize that it's not as complicated necessarily. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not as complicated as you think it was. We were reading the first book of John, chapter 2, and you read through it at a reading pace, and you're like, oh man, I have no idea what I just said. It was a lot of this, a lot of that. I heard this word a lot of times. Maybe it's talking about that. When you slow down and you take your time and you really analyze it in depth. In the Bible, we do it verse by verse. In technical analysis, I do it indicator by indicator. Then you start to realize, oh, this is a piece of the puzzle. 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 You sit there for an hour and you got it all in your head and you're like, oh, okay, I've got this fragment, this fragment, this fragment, this fragment, this map piece, this map piece, this map piece, this map piece. All makes sense. In a vacuum, each one of the pieces are relatively straightforward. It only seems so complicated because you haven't parsed them out. You just got a giant pile of puzzle pieces and you can't see the puzzle there. But if you separate them all out and start putting them together one at a time, you start realizing, oh, there is an interesting picture here if we put the puzzle pieces together. So this is a simple puzzle piece, but it is, in my prediction, a very important one. And it is, drum roll please. Boom. I got a soundboard over here. I need to put a drum roll thing on there. It is none other than the 200 weekly simple moving average. This moving average has been important on Bitcoin for a decade, and it has been pivotal in the formation of every bull market that Bitcoin has ever gone through. Full stop. Every single one of them. The 200 weekly simple moving average represents essentially the 4-year average price of Bitcoin. That would be to be exactly a 4-year average price, it would be the 208 moving average. And in fact, we can just go ahead and look at that as well if we want here in a minute. But the 200 weekly simple moving average is so important, not only because of its history, but because also of its history in the stock market. If you look at the stock market, the 200 weekly simple moving average is critical. It, in the stock market, in the S&P, is the foundational support upon which bull markets are built also. So this is a technical indicator that is coming from the origin of technical analysis. Technical analysis has been around for over 150 years. It started out with some rice farmers trying to figure out what the price of rice was doing in Japan. And ever since then, it's developed into this wonderful, beautiful way of analyzing the market and predicting what's going to happen with enough certainty that it is very helpful. It's very useful. It's like meteorology. You might get mad at the weatherman for calling that it's going to rain one day, and so you don't go to the beach, and then it turns out to be a sunny day. But you're happy that he's there when he tells you that a hurricane is coming with 7 days warning, right? We can shake our fist at the meteorologist for getting it wrong every once in a while all we want. But we're also very thankful when he lets us know that our house is going to blow away and we should probably move to somewhere else. It's a little bit like that with technical analysis. It's extremely helpful. And this, the 200 weekly moving average, is an indicator that doesn't just have track record in the Bitcoin market, it also has track record in the stock market. Even going on to the DJI, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is over 100 years old, you will see that the 200 weekly simple moving average is none other than vital. In recent memory, it is a level that the market has bounced off of categorically. Drops below it a little bit, but not by much. Drops below it here in the pandemic, but within 4 weeks, we are finding support on it, using that as our bull flag, and we're rallying higher. It's our support here in 2018. It's our support here in 2015 and 2016. It's our support here as we're recovering from the 2008 financial crisis. It was our support that held us up for a little while longer while Congress was trying to figure out what to do about the giant mess that they had just caused. It was the support that we built the entire rally in the 80s and 90s off of. It was the level that we used to know that the 60s and 70s were sideways action. It was the midline there. And whenever we rallied above it, that's when people would start getting excited that something bullish was going to happen. In the 40s and the 50s, as we came out of the post-war era, it was the level that the market time and time again bounced off of. You can go all the way back here to the inception of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, going back to the late 1800s, and you will find the 200 moving average having historical relevance. This is an indicator that on other charts has been relevant for over a century. And its importance cannot be overstated on Bitcoin, because as with those other markets, DJI, SPY, that are over 100 years old, SPY not so much, but the DJI being over 100 years old, so too is this moving average incredibly important on Bitcoin. During the 2014-15 bear market and accumulation phase, that is where Bitcoin bottomed out. Again, the 200 moving average, the 4-year average. Bitcoin would go into a massive bull market and just leave the 200 weekly in the dust. But the 200 weekly moving average would rally up here to roughly $3,400. Bitcoin would come back down to and find support in the zone of the 200 weekly moving average. Now take note here, we did fall a little bit below it. I'm not saying that this is a level that Bitcoin is going to fall to perfectly, but as with many technical indicators, if you treat it like a zone, and really quickly here, I'll just refresh TradingView. Give me 1 second here because TradingView is glitching out a little bit. It won't let me manipulate the chart. If you treat this moving average a little bit like a zone, and I can actually make that happen here just by going 150 and then 250.
Right now.
Make a little zone around the 200 in the middle with a 50 less, 1 year less, 1 year more on either side. You see that this zone right here, this would be called a moving average ribbon. This moving average ribbon based around the 200 has been the support for Bitcoin for the last 10 years. And we seem to be extremely bearish here because we fell so far below it. And that's why there was so much hopelessness when Bitcoin was down here. We were completely below the bottom of the ribbon at the 250 for the first time pretty much in history. And then FTX collapsed and Bitcoin went even further to the downside. Now, before I start explaining why this ribbon, mainly the 200 weekly moving average, that's a little more helpful to see it as a zone than an actual level. Before I start to explain why this is so big and why it's going on, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart right now. I also want to explain why Bitcoin crashed so far below this ribbon. I mentioned earlier that Bitcoin never would have gone through this rapid and this high of a rally if not for the actions of the Fed. If we go here and add up the USC BBS, United States Central Bank balance sheet, look at the price scale, you can see that during this time of the bull market, the United States Central Bank balance sheet increased on the... Well, that was embarrassing. How did I miss that? I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sitting there running the intro. I don't even want to look at chat right now because you know what? I'm going to look at chat in a minute because if I look at chat right now with the giant fail that just was, then I'm going to get completely distracted from my point. Let me reconstruct my point. This ribbon, I couldn't even tell you how long we've been gone, so I'm going to restate everything. You heard it. Let me go ahead and restate it. The ribbon here on the 200 weekly moving average is very important. The 200 moving average in the middle, the 150 above it, the 250 below it. This ribbon right here is built around the 200 weekly moving average. And what I was saying is that on the DJI, not sure how far back you guys didn't see, but on the DJI, if you look back in time, this ribbon, but essentially the 200 weekly moving average, has been the baseline of support for the Bitcoin market essentially the entire time, going all the way back to the 1800s, back into the 40s and the 50s, back into as the center line in the 60s and 70s, as the baseline of support as the Cold War was ending and you were bringing online the Soviet bloc. During the 2010s, when we saw the massive bull market there, it was the level of support back then. So we've got over 100 years of track record on that trend. Here in the Bitcoin market, you see it being the baseline of support here in 2015. It is the baseline of support here in 2019. It's the baseline of support here in 2020. And the point that we were making right when I realized that I was not on my screen, apologies for that again, was why was Bitcoin so far below that zone of support here? Well, it's because we were so far above the zone of support here. We rallied far higher than Bitcoin ever would have on its own as a result of the actions of the Fed, where they injected literally $5 trillion worth of assets into the economy in the span of less than 24 months. You can see here on the x-axis, and this is picking back up where we left off, we saw that there were $4.2 trillion of assets on the United States Central Bank balance sheet, which are 98% of those are in treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. Essentially, the Fed prints money to loan money to itself. That's what the that's what the purchasing of treasuries is. And then it also prints money to buy mortgage-backed securities, which is a way of essentially putting money into the pockets of the banks that they would be able to lend that money out and stimulate the economy. It's essentially how they put money into the economy without actually printing new money. They just create it in digitized form out of thin air. You can see 4.2 trillion pre-pandemic all the way up to 9 trillion. That's $5 trillion of liquidity added. A good bit of that, a few $100 billion at least of that, went straight into the cryptocurrency market and straight into Bitcoin. And so we rallied much higher than we ever would have, which manipulates this moving average. If not for us going to 69K much sooner than we normally would have, and we instead went to like 50K, this ribbon probably wouldn't be right here. This ribbon would probably be like right here. And we would have seen a regular bounce off of the 200 to the 250 moving average as we have in previous times. So people are all caught up and worried about the fact that we fell so far below the 200. What gives? Well, Bitcoin was crashing as a result of all of the rolling off of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. We were seeing the rolling off of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities, a steep decline of almost $1 trillion, $700, $800 billion, and even more right now. And that sunk the price even lower than it would have gone. But now Bitcoin is starting to stabilize, and we've come back and we're bouncing off of the 200 moving average. This is the critical bull market signal that I'm talking about. Bouncing off of the 200 moving average here is one of the most important things that Bitcoin can do right now, and the fact that we are managing to do that is remarkably important. The 200 moving average is very significant to bull markets, and when Bitcoin manages to stabilize itself above the 200 moving average, as we did here, as we did here, and as we did here, that, my friends, is when you start a bull market. Again, there are plenty of other reasons why I believe a bull market is starting soon. Goodness. Fix what's going on. Embarrassing indeed. Yeah, there you go. So here's the deal. Bitcoin is a asset that is going to bull markets roughly every 4 years. And we need to be able to predict when that bull market is going to occur. Being able to predict where that bull market occurs is based on historical analysis. We must not get caught up in the lie that previous results always guarantee future results, because that's not true. But what we do want to keep in mind is that when we go into a bull market, it is going to be preceded by certain signals. And one of those signals is the founding of support based off of the 200 moving average. Crypto Surge said, Jeb, you need someone to help you there, brother. No, I think what I need to do is I need to get a second monitor set up with my show feed so I can see if I'm making a mistake. That would be what needs to happen. Oh my gosh. Now you're in black. You lost me. Someone said, give him a minute. What an amateur. Yeah. Hey, look, guys. Sorry. Bottom line is, when you do a stream 5 days a week or years, sometimes mistakes are going to happen, so I apologize. But we fixed it, and I shared with you guys what I was trying to say. So now what I want to do is I want to move into our next segment here. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Middle East, and the reason I'm going to talk about that is because it could very well have an impact on crypto. And I do believe that it's going to have a very big impact on our lives personally, and that is, of course, the conflict with Israel. I'm going to try and be as gentle as possible with this. The only thing that I'm going to straight up condemn are the terror attacks that took place on October 7th. Pretty much everything else that's going on, there is a lot of evil taking place, and it's very difficult to see who's in the wrong. I don't really want to go into that finger pointing and saying who's wrong, who's right. What I do want to share with you is that something terrible happened yesterday, and I want to share with you some of the implications that this war between Israel and Hamas may have. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and we're going to be as tactful as we possibly can because, as I said, there's a lot of people getting hurt here. I'm going to touch on this because I think it's important to your life, I think it's important to your finances, and I think it's important to cryptocurrency, and I care about those things in that order. So, October 7th, an attack was launched across the Israeli border. Essentially, the Hamas militants were able to knock out some radio towers and some camera towers that manned what was known as the Iron Wall. It's essentially this giant border fortification around the Gaza Strip. And Israel's military, the IDF, had become so certain that they were capable of shutting down any Hamas attack that they seemingly became extremely complacent. And Mossad, the intelligence agency, who has been I watched something yesterday where they were talking about Mossad, and they said Mossad is so good at knowing what goes on in Israel that in Gaza that they know if a rat farts in an apartment building somewhere in Gaza City. Somehow they missed this. How that happened is something that we're going to have to wait probably months, if not years, to figure out. But the fact is, the Hamas militants were able to figure out a weak point in the overly technologically reliant border wall, the Iron Wall, as it's been called in reference to the Iron Dome, knocked out some radio towers, blew a few holes in the fence, raided some bases. Pretty much all of IDF command in the Gaza Strip region was in one building, and they went into that building and ended them. And somebody's saying something that I want to verify real quick. I'm getting thrown off. Let's see if this is true. What? Wait, what? Okay, hang on. I'm going to pause what we're talking about here. I thought you were... I'm not going to lie. Whoever said that, I'm going to give him a shout out here in just a second. I thought you were lying. You're serious. Cryptos R Us' channel just got taken down, I think. See if you got a tweet. What happened? Am I being scammed? I feel like I'm being scammed. I don't see it on YouTube. Where is it? Huh? Whoa, it is actually down. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. I'm going to text George here in a couple of minutes as soon as we get off. Why has this channel been removed? Interesting. Well, so here, I've been through this myself. I've had the channel taken down. If you guys want to go back and watch, I made a video talking about the channel being taken down almost exactly 2 years ago now. It was right before I met my wife. And the channel was taken down. I got a call from my chief marketing officer at 3 in the morning. And running over my cord. Hang on one second. I got a call from my chief marketing officer at 3 o'clock in the morning saying that the channel had been taken down, and it was relatively scary. I had peace about it because I knew that as far as I trusted the Lord, and I made a video on that. I got about 70,000 views. I encourage you to watch that if you haven't already. But my point is that I was able to go through certain channels and get it back, and I was able to reach out to my friends in the cryptocurrency space, and they were able to get it back. So George's channel will likely come back. I don't know why it was taken down. I don't know of anything on his channel that would warrant it being taken down. But like I said, I will reach out to him as soon as I get off stream here. I was just talking to him yesterday about the content we're working on, and we'll figure out what's happening there. Shout out to George. If you guys haven't subscribed to him already, wait 8 hours until his channel's back and then go and subscribe to him. It'll come back so long as there's not something, very serious that he did that I don't know of. I don't think he did. He's a pretty good guy from what I know. Yeah, so shout out to George. Make sure to go follow him on Twitter for updates. Go ahead and flash that on screen here. Let's see. I'm going to text him right now. Let me text him right now. All right, I asked him if there's any way that I can help over in Telegram. Offended the YouTube snowflakes. Gary Gensler said it was a security. He went on some offensive rant the other day. I don't know what rant you're talking about. It's probably because of his Fight Club. Yeah, he asked me to join that, and I said no. You know, I will watch it, and I'm sure it'll be entertaining. But very interested to see how that project pans out. George got a lot of cool stuff going on. They probably deleted them because they had the Cointelegraph debacle on video. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to finish with what we were talking about. He must have spoken against our tyrannical criminal government. Yeah. That'll do it. That'll do it. You know, it is like the one thing that unites Americans together, complaining about the government. Just so long as you don't go deep enough in the conversation and you start talking about what the thing actually is that you're complaining about, and you just sit around and say, oh, that's stupid government. That's the one thing that seems to unite Americans, is the bitterness towards the government, which is so sad because we should not be united by bitterness. But it is kind of true, isn't it? Could it be the promotion of fighting influencers on YouTube doesn't sit well with Big Brother? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I didn't even know, to be honest with you, I didn't even know that was public. He reached out to me about that relatively recently. I didn't even know that was public. About 2 weeks ago, we talked about that. All right, so I want to finish up what I was talking about here because it is important. I don't want to get too far off topic. Make sure to go and support George, guys. Go and support his channel. Follow him on Twitter if you haven't already. We've got a lot of crossover, so I'm sure you probably already are. Okay, George actually just got back to me. Oh, he just texted me. Hang on one second, guys. Huh. Yep, so he just sent me the screenshot of what happened. I'm not going to say anything though, because that's none of my business. So I'll be working with him to see if there's any way I can help him. But I'll go ahead and leave it at that. Oops. Thank you, Leroy N49. You think I would have learned my lesson from earlier? All right. Let's go ahead and continue talking here. The conflict in Israel is likely going to be one of the worst of our time. And there was again, I'm trying to be careful here because YouTube obviously likes to censor things. There was a certain incident that happened yesterday that led to 500 lost. It's the Ahli Baptist Hospital. And there's a lot of finger pointing right now as to whether Hamas did it or the IDF did it. The IDF says that there were internal communications between Hamas operatives that they had misfired some kind of explosive device and that it had to do with the hospital. But at the same time, the reason that we can't be totally sure that that is true is because one of the reasons that Mossad didn't know that the attack was coming was because Hamas staged fake calls that they were wanting to seek peace with Israel and then actually planned the assault, the October 7th assault, face-to-face, where no bugs could detect what they were saying. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. The reason that I bring it up is because there are quite a lot of geopolitical implications for this conflict. Saudi Arabia was on track to normalize relations with Israel and recognize them as a modern state. When Israel was founded, the United Nations, if you look at a map of it, it's actually pretty comedic. Pretty much everybody in the world recognized Israel as a state that was a member of the United Nations, except for like 10 countries around them, all in the Middle East. Obviously, there's a lot of religious differences there, and so that drove that. Saudi Arabia was on track to normalize relations with Israel, and when Hamas launched this attack, there have been a god-awful number of protests in Riyadh and all of the other cities, the other capitals in the region. The fact of the matter is that you have quite a lot of enemies of Israel on every side. You've got Hezbollah to the north in Lebanon. You've got the Syrian Defense Forces in Syria that they border the Golan Heights in the northern part of Israel. You've got the Jordan to the east, which is essentially kind of like a satellite state of Israel right now. They've got so much influence over Jordan that Jordan's probably not going to launch anything. But you've also got Iran to the west. Iraq is not the biggest fan of them. And so if a war does breakout in the Middle East larger than what's going on right now, it is likely going to lead to huge disruptions to trade, which will lead to huge disruptions to the economy. There are currently about 2 million refugees in Gaza that are trying to go somewhere, and Egypt has said they will only let 2,000 a day in because Egypt already has a massive refugee crisis. They don't know what to do with everybody, so they're like, oh, well, we don't know what to do with 2 million people coming into our country, so they don't really want to do that. Israel's not going to take them. So there's a lot of human suffering going on right now, and that's the worst part, is that there's a huge amount of human suffering. How this spills over is going to be important. What happens to the people that are trying to find refuge is going to be important. What happens to Israel is going to be important. What happens in regard to whether these different organizations such as Hezbollah or the Syrian Defense Forces attack Israel is going to be important. We could very well see this escalate into a massive regional conflict with the likes of Iran, Syria, Lebanon through Hezbollah involved, all against Israel. There are already 2 carrier strike groups in the Eastern Mediterranean right now, the Gerald R. Ford, which is the most advanced nuclear aircraft carrier in the history of mankind, and you've also got the Dwight D. Eisenhower carrier strike group just moved over into the Mediterranean as well. So we've got a lot to monitor here. Mossad failed epically by not knowing that the October 7th attack was going to occur, and as they said, this is essentially their version of their 9/11. And this is going to shake Israeli national confidence in their governmental system to its core, even more than they already had done, even more than had already happened as a result of the changes that Benjamin Netanyahu was going through earlier this year with the reforms to the reforms, however you want to look at that, to the judicial system. The problem that we are running into right now is that we don't know how far this is going to go. Is this going to remain a small local regional conflict between Hamas militants and Israel, or are the mass protests that are showing up in Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, some in Egypt, Morocco, Turkey, and more going to spill into massive support for Hamas and therefore fracture the delicate balance of power that currently exists in the Middle East and erupt the entire region into one gigantic war? That is a question that we're going to have to find out. One thing that I also want to mention is that Saudi Arabia, again, was going through normalization processes with accepting Israel as a nation and then beginning diplomatic ties. They are currently trying to decide whether or not they want to do that. The old dude that runs Saudi Arabia doesn't want that. The young dude doesn't care because he wants to make trade with them. The old dude and all of his friends are going to die soon because they're old, as far as there's just not much time left. And that ideology of Saudi Arabia being against Israel is dying out with the leadership. The younger leadership that is coming into power believes more firmly that Israel should be a nation. So it's very possible that you have this flashpoint where Iran, who we don't know for sure, but probably did support Hamas in this engagement, and Saudi Arabia, who very well may continue, even through this, to recognize Israel as a modern state, especially with pressure from the United States, who is trying to keep the balance of power. It could be that you have that ideological issue of Israel lead to a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran. It's also very possible that Hezbollah launches an attack across the border into the northern part of Israel, the Golan Heights, and other areas up in the north. And that could lead to a response from the nuclear aircraft carriers sitting in the Mediterranean. They were sent there with one explicit purpose: to deter anybody in the region from taking advantage of the situation. There has been some rocket fire and some gunfire exchanges between Hezbollah in the north and the Israeli Defense Forces. It is very possible that you see an attack from Hezbollah, which is 3 to 4 times larger than Hamas, coming from the north out of Lebanon. If that occurs, then the question has to come across President Biden's desk, who, by the way, this morning landed in Tel Aviv, the capital of Israel. He's on the ground right now over there, stumbling around trying to make a coherent sentence. It could end up putting him in the position of, wait a minute, I just sent 2 nuclear aircraft carriers with 135 warplanes on them to deter Lebanon, not so much Lebanon, but Hezbollah from attacking across the border. What happens if they do? Are they going to call my bluff? What's going to happen? Is there going to be a new war against Hezbollah in the region? If so, then you've got the United States mixed back up in the Middle East. We've been out of it for a year, ever since we left Afghanistan. So how does that play out? It's a mess, and a lot of people are getting hurt, and no one side is even close to perfect. I'm not going to pick I'm not going to say that anybody is doing anything totally right. And there's a lot of people that are getting hurt on both sides. On the Gaza side, you've got a bunch of civilians there that didn't have to do with this attack, that have been trapped for years. And you've got Israel that understandably needs to have some kind of response to what happened on October the 7th, because it was so just absolutely atrocious. We're going to pray for the peace of Israel, and we're also going to pay close attention to what happens next, because while it doesn't have a huge impact on the Bitcoin market right now, although I do think that a drop occurred on Bitcoin the day that this started, and I think it was causal in its relationship, we're going to pay close attention to what happens here. Because now the United States has a vested interest in two military conflicts that are essentially almost proxy wars between Iran supporting Hamas, the United States supporting Israel, and between Russia directly attacking Ukraine and us by proxy supporting Ukraine. We're getting into a state of proxy wars again, like we saw in the 80s and in the 90s. And the impacts that will have on global affairs is going to be severe, but yet to be determined. If you enjoyed today's stream, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the post notification bell so you won't miss a single episode. And also make sure to sign up for our Discord server and sign up for Lux Algo. Use coupon code JEB30, JEBB30 for 30% off at checkout with a link in the description box down below. If you're a praying individual, definitely pray for the peace of Israel and pray for the peace of those civilians that are in Gaza that frankly had nothing to do with this, because it's unfortunate. Unfortunate is definitely a massive understatement for the situation that they're in as well. And yeah, that's all I got. If you enjoyed today's stream, again, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the post notification bell so you won't miss a single beat. Also, make sure to join our Discord server and answer that question I have over there. You will see why I asked that question in the Discord server under the announcements tab. And also, make sure to sign up for Lux Algo using coupon code JEB30, JEBB30 for 30% off in checkout. Since when is Afghanistan Middle East? It's not quite Middle East. It is obviously east of Iran, but most people would lump it in with the Middle East, even if it's not. It's definitely not the Far East. Anyway, before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.